Hello, everyone, and welcome to Back to School Night with Mr. Porter. I will be your host for our introduction to Math 2. So, you're probably thinking, what is Math 2? Effectively, after students take Algebra 1, they have three options. They can either go to Math 2, Geometry, or Course 1. And Math 2 is geometry, just at a slower, more manageable pace. So there's probably multiple reasons why your child is in this class. They might struggle with math in general. Last year could have just been rough for them, and they just need to go at a slower pace to get caught up. One way or the other, though, that effectively is what Math 2 is. So why don't I go ahead and show you the syllabus, and all of these things right here for the supplies are effectively what I would expect all students to have. The calculator is pretty important. In fact, I feel like that you should prioritize that. A lot of students in Math 2 are coming into my class without a calculator, and I have calculators. I have calculators for them. It's just that the calculators are the ones I have aren't that great, and I would like it if your child would be able to practice with a calculator that they're just used to. So when they actually do quizzes in this class, they will be confident and have a tool that they're comfortable with. The rest is pretty standard. I like to type out notes and hole punch them for the students. So a 3-ring binder would be fantastic for them to keep track of that. The next thing I do want to mention right here that was important for the syllabus of the students is that there aren't any tests in this class. So it's entirely quizzes that we call concept checks, except for like a final exam. And what the concept checks are is they are they're like standard-based assessments, so that I'll go into details of those right now, actually, of how they're graded. But effectively, what they are is every week students take a concept check, and there's different categories what have been going on. So for the first week, we did PEMDAS, and then we also did laws of exponents. So they had 2 categories that they were quizzed on, and based on how they did, they got a score for each category. And the scoring looks like this. They only get 5 results: an A, a B, a C, a D, or an F. And there's a couple things that might look a little surprising to you. First off, you'll notice that they can't get an A the first time they take this. They can only get a B the first time they take a concept check, because a B represents them showing mastery of the subject once. Because what happens is the next week, they take another concept check, and they'll get similar problems and maybe 1 or 2 new topics. And based on how they do, if they do better in that category, their old grade is replaced by the new grade. It can't go the other way. It can only improve their grade. And the way they get an A is they have to show that they've mastered this twice. So if they ace it the first week and ace it the second week, their B gets upgraded to an A. Some students feel a little worried about this in the beginning, because like, well, why can't I get an A on the first quiz? But this idea of being able to continuously retake these quizzes that are built into the class reduces a lot of stress for students. And it also, in the end, like, it does show their mastery of the subject. Some students might not master it in the first couple weeks, but as we continue to review and go over it, they will be able to have a lot of opportunities to show they understand it. So this is another thing that I show my students, where this is effectively what they're graded on. You'll see that I base things off points and not percentages. This is just an estimate, about 500 points, where 300 of the points are from concept checks, 100 points from the classwork, and 100 points are from the final exam. And the reason you'll notice there's 2 things that are missing there typically here, and that is there's no participation. I don't grade my students on participation. I'm confident that I can encourage your children to participate and be active in the classroom without using the points as as like a carrot on a stick for the students. And you'll also notice that there isn't homework there. And the reason is based on how what a student has at home, your child may or may not have the same access that other children have. Either they might not have an adult always with them to help them with the work, they might not have the resources, so on and so forth. And the idea is also to promote this understanding that homework isn't there to improve your grade, as it might be as later on in college classes. A lot of time you get homework assignments, or you have to do studying outside of class that don't improve your grades directly. But the idea is that it's supposed to be practiced, so on and so forth. And when a lot of students see this, they go, "Oh, does that mean my homework is optional?" The answer is no. And I know this seems a bit extreme for a lot of people. They think that, well, the homework's not worth points. Why do I have to do it? Well, the idea is for it to be practice for the big points for concept checks. I know right now you might be thinking, well, why my child's not going to do the homework then? And I'm going to tell you right now is that for these first couple weeks, I've been getting about the same amount of homework I've usually get for making homework worth points. And another criticism of this no homework points policy is that I know that a lot of students, they need that buffer to improve their grade. They might not be great test takers or quiz takers, but they do well with homework and classwork and effort, and that usually boosts up their grade. Well, first off, grades aren't supposed to be like a representation um, of effort. It's supposed to be representative mastery. That's why most points are from concept checks. And then, of course, it's built in like, even if students aren't a great quiz taker, they get a lot of opportunities to take these quizzes, so they will eventually be able to show their mastery. But another thing I kept in this grade that you might see from last year is that I showed this to students, and students didn't pick up on the fact that the lowest they can get in my class is a 50%. Now, for a lot of you who might be thinking, well, my child who's usually an A student is going to be unfair for them because I think a lot of times people worry that, oh, 50 is the lowest they can get, and that means people who usually do badly get like a plus 50 to their grade. And that's not how this plays out. It just plays out where students who usually do poorly have that chance of being able to improve their grades. So if your child is one of those who struggles in the beginning, I think we all know at least one or two kids who typically does poorly in the first month or so and then like uses that as motivation to actually start working hard. And they won't be working at a 0%, they'll be working at a 50%. And I don't want to spend this whole video talking about my philosophy on grades and all this stuff. So if a lot of this stuff worries you or concerns you, please stay tuned for the rest of the video. There will be my contact information, and feel free to contact me and we can discuss this more. Now, I also want to show you what it typically looks like when students come to my class. I always have this up on the board. They'll have a warm-up up here. Students will be doing the warm-up, and there's a few things that you might want to keep in mind about this. First off, I always have the aim so students know what we're trying to do. In this class, this is a Math 4, not a Math 2 PowerPoint on mathematical notation, but students can look at the aim and they can see, oh, that's what we're doing today. I also like to always have an agenda on the top right, so students like to see what exactly is going on and what's coming up. And then for the warm-up, I always have the homework answers from the previous night. So yeah, even though homework isn't worth points, it's still expected from them to do it. We still go over the answers, and we still have a part of the lesson where we're going over the homework answers and we're discussing any questions. So students who do the homework definitely greatly benefit from still doing it. And of course, the most important part of the beginning of the day is our joke of the day. In this case, the question was, why don't fish like going near computers? And the answer was because they're afraid of being stuck in the internets. Sometimes a few students get a laugh out of that. I don't know if any of you laughed at that, but I like my little puns. But this agenda right here kind of shows us the structure of how this class is going to work. Where we always have a warm-up, we do some homework review. Sometimes this last one standing has been this community building activity that we do. And then we get into the lesson with some practice. And I like to do a lot of practice. And then we wrap it up with X ticket, which is a quick little check-in to see what the students know. And that's how my class works for the most part. It follows the same structure because students always do appreciate the structure. Now, I know I didn't get to go over everything. I'm sure there's always questions that people have. So first off, here is my contact information. Here's my email and the phone number to contact me. I highly recommend using the email more than the phone number. If you want to talk to me on the phone, that's fine, but you probably won't get me directly through the phone. You probably have to leave a voicemail. So we can always set up a phone call meeting via email. Also, if you're wondering how are students supported, I do have a website that has some of the basics on there, but that usually just leads us to the Google Classroom. There's a Google Classroom where students can always see homework. So if your child's saying, oh, I don't have any homework for the day, the homework's always there on the Google Classroom. And if for students getting extra help, there's something called Access. We didn't really have much of that last year, but what it is effectively is this period in Wednesdays and Thursdays where students can just go to whatever teacher they wish. They still take attendance and then go there for extra help. If your child starts struggling in my class, I highly recommend going to encourage them to go to Access. Also, if they tend to be struggling tend to struggle in my class and they're not coming to Access enough, I will also reach out to you. I do try to make sure that my failing students get enough encouragement to recover their grade. And that's it for my back to school presentation. If you have any questions, once again, feel free to email me. Otherwise,